right. I'd like to welcome everybody out to our meeting tonight. We appreciate all those that are here in attendance. We also appreciate all those that may be viewing this online through our website, herriman.org, or the other venues that they can find that. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We will begin by having the Pledge of Allegiance that will be done by Scout Troop 4446. They would go ahead and come up at this time. Thank you very much. We appreciate every time our youth come and participate in our meetings. Item 1.2, are there any disclosures of conflict of interest for members of the City Council today?
No.
None. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 1.3, Mayor Council comments and recognitions. I'll start. Obviously, there are many individuals that will be here today to discuss some of the issues that have occurred in the last several days, months, and throughout our city, particularly with the traffic along Mountain View Corridor. We will be having an opportunity to discuss that here in just a few minutes. We will be inviting our police chief to come up and provide some information before we have public comment, so that we can make, that we can have a better understanding of where we're at and what happened and what the situation was. But I want to make the audience aware that we will be inviting, you will have an opportunity to comment, and we're just rearranging the schedule just a little bit, or the agenda just a little bit, to allow for that so that we can have that discussion. So are there any council comments or recognitions today?
I'd like to just make one. I had the opportunity to attend our basket bash last weekend with my family up at the park, and I just want to commend our park staff and our event staff for the many hours of dedication that they put in on behalf of the city and planning these events for the benefit of our community. That is a lot of work that goes in to every event, but this one in particular really amazes me because of the fact that there is so much planning and so much effort that goes into it, and it's literally over in about 37 seconds from the time you hit go. But it's a great event, and in the format this year with some of those extra activities for the hour before, I thought were very beneficial, and it really gave the community an opportunity to come out, to interact, to enjoy their time together before the Easter egg hunt. So again, kudos to you, Wendy, and your staff for the work well done.
Thank you very much. All right, we will...
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I know we have, again, you've already mentioned we're going to rearrange a little bit, so I'd like to make a motion on a couple of items here to reorder the agenda and allow for a presentation by Chief Carr, again, prior to the public comment. In addition, I'd like to move items 4.2, which is the URPA award and recognition, as well as the award that's part of Chief Carr's presentation of 4.1 to before public comment, so that we can take care of those recognitions and then roll into the comments by Chief Carr before public comment.
Okay. I have a motion.
Second.
Motion a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we will go ahead and move on to, and we will come back to the public comment. Item 4.2, presentation of 2018 Utah Recreation and Parks Association Awards. Leanne Powell.
Mayor and Council, thank you so much for allowing us to have just a few moments to present a couple of great awards. As mentioned, my name is Leanne Powell, and I'm the Executive Director of the Utah Recreational Parks Association. We're an association of about 1,300 members, and we represent parks and recreation professionals all across the state. We just recently had our annual conference, and at that conference we have a number of awards that are presented. This is probably our favorite thing to be able to do, is to come back in front of the city council and the communities and represent these awards, because you're the ones that really need to know what great rock stars you have in the parks and recreation and special events and the arts, and they're doing great work. We get together our past presidents, so we had about 18 past presidents that go through and probably look at 100 different nominations for awards and narrow it down to, we have about 20 different topics that we do, and so they get narrowed down, and it's very hard, it's very competitive, and so we're very proud to be able to come and present these awards. Your staff is doing great work, and it's being recognized statewide. So appreciate the opportunity to be here. This is Curtis Dixon. He is our president-elect for our association. I'm going to turn the time over to him, and he's going to actually present the two awards that we have. Thank you.
Okay, so the first award we have this evening is for Deb Taylor. She actually won the state's Outstanding Citizen Advocate and Volunteer. So Deb, if you could come up here, please. So for those of you who don't know, Deb works for the Herriman Arts Council. She's the assistant director there currently, and she is just an absolute fabulous, fabulous, fabulous volunteer for your community. From what your staff has told us, she is just out there with the arts, promoting it, and helping out doing set designs, mentoring, teaching people really how important it is the arts are in our lives. And it's just such an amazing thing. Oftentimes when you think of Parks and Rec, you only think of the sports side, the baseball, the basketball, you know, the great parks and the special events that happen. And, you know, it's an important thing to remember that arts play such a key role in our communities and have a way of touching a lot of people's lives that some of these other things that we do in Parks and Rec don't. So on behalf of the Utah Parks and Rec Association, Deb, thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Great work there.
Do you guys do pictures?
Yes.
We want to do it after with both of them? Okay, perfect.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, so the next award that you guys have for this evening for you guys is the Innovation of the Year for our program. And as I'm sure some of you can guess, we have a special guest of honor out here tonight with the city's Yeti. So we'll have the Yeti come up here, please. So for those of you who don't know what this program is, over the last year, Herriman City has been working with local businesses and other entities throughout the city to really get your citizens to get out and get to know each other, to get to know your parks, your systems, your businesses. And it's been such a fun thing. I've kind of began following it a little bit on Facebook, and it's so much fun to see all the great activities that the Yeti does. And it's just really a great innovation to work with. So again, on behalf of the Utah Parks and Recreation Association, great job to you guys, the staff. They're so creative. I've had the opportunity to work with a couple of them in the past over the years. And, you know, as Leanne said, you guys have rock star staff here that work in your Parks and Rec, and they're very highly regarded throughout the entire state. So you should be very proud of the work they do, and I hope you are. So again, thanks again for your work.
I'm pretty sure that is the first and only time you guys will see a Yeti get an award. They want us down here for a photo, guys.
Yeah.
Mitch, go behind Karen. But you're gonna scoot in maybe behind, yeah, there we go. Okay.
And so while they're going back to their seats, I just want to recognize I had the opportunity to work with Wendy and Emily and Kevin with our conference that we just put on. And again, you know, we use the term rock stars, but you guys have the leaders in the field. The leaders in Parks and Recreation are amongst you and are doing great work. And we did an auction where we raised money for scholarships for young professionals and future professionals. And this year's auction, I'm proud to announce, has raised more money than we've ever raised before and will fully fund all of the scholarships that we're trying to do. And that's thanks to Kevin and Emily and Wendy's leadership. So keep up the great work. You guys are doing great. It's such a pleasure to be able to work with you guys, and you're doing great things. So thank you very much for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So prior to having Chief Carr come up and speak, I know we have one other organization that has come to discuss an item that I don't believe will take very much time at all. Item 4.4, presentation of child abuse prevention proclamation. Would the council be open to having them speak for just a minute or so before we go into public comment?
You want to do that before
Chief
UPD's
Carr.
award?
Well, that way Chief Carr can do all of it at once.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Then I'll make a motion to also move item 4.4 up to above item 2, public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, we'll go ahead and move on to 4.4, presentation child abuse prevention proclamation. Brett Wood, our city manager.
Mayor and Council, it's great respect. I put this proclamation in front of you, and I know you support this on abuse, child abuse prevention program proclamation. I want to introduce Barbara Stallone to introduce the proclamation and why they feel strongly about you passing it tonight. Barbara?
Actually going to turn the time over to my boss, Jeff Bird.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Mayor Watts and City Council members. My name is Jeff Bird. I'm the Executive Director for Family Support Center and a proud resident of Herriman as well. Family Support Center is a local nonprofit which has been serving Salt Lake County residents for the past 40 years. Services provided by Family Support Center include crisis nursery, mental health treatment, self-sufficiency housing for homeless parents and their children, and in-home parenting support. Child abuse is a serious problem with 3,803 confirmed child victims in Salt Lake County in 2017. Of those victims, 81 were residents of Herriman. Each of those cases impacted an entire family. To help alleviate this problem, last year 1,443 unduplicated children visited Family Support Center crisis nurseries. There were 9,211 visits, 858 overnight stays, 9,671 meals were served. This level of service provided 51,531 hours of care to our most vulnerable population, children at risk for abuse. None of these numbers mean anything, though, unless you understand the human side of the story. One 6-year-old was overheard saying to his mom when she picked him up from an overnight stay, "I like to sleep here, Mom. The pillows don't have bad dreams." We're grateful for the time and attention that Herriman is willing to give to this very important topic. I know that you have very weighty items to consider, and I'm grateful that the safety of our children is one of those things that you're willing to take time to talk about. I also brought a pad of some of the services that we provide that I'd like to leave so you could give it out at your information desk. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
So with that, I'm looking for a motion to approve the proclamation.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I will make a motion to approve the 2018 Child Abuse Prevention Proclamation.
I second.
Clint?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
And I will vote yes, so that passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Appreciate it.
All right. At this time, we will now move to Chief Carr.
Mayor and Council, thank you. We're going to talk about some exciting things, some sad things, and some concerning things that have happened in our community lately. I'd like to first call up Del Mickelson. Well, if you're here with Detective Myers, please. We're going to honor Del Mickelson tonight with the Citizens Action Award. This was for Del Mickelson's quick action and bravery in the face of unknown danger. Early on Sunday morning, February 2nd, 2018, Joseph noticed a vehicle pull into a circle, drive around, and turn its lights off, and then park up the street. Joseph thought this was odd and watched the occupants. Joseph noticed a couple of males exit the vehicle and start looking into his neighbor's vehicles. The males then entered his property and attempted to break into his vehicles. Joseph stated he did not want them to get away, so he grabbed his firearm to confront the suspects. As soon as Joseph got outside, he yelled at the suspects, who then fled. Joseph gave chase. Both suspects jumped into a waiting vehicle. Before they could flee, however, Joseph was able to provide a description of the vehicle and partial license plate to our dispatch. Because of this information, officers and detectives were able to identify and eventually arrest and charge 3 suspects with a total of 33 charges. Unbeknownst to Joseph, he was in great danger. He did not know that these suspects had just burglarized several vehicles minutes before and had stolen a fully loaded .45 caliber handgun. Even so, because of Joseph's actions, we were able to quickly identify the suspects, recover several items, including the stolen handgun. So that night, a lot of our citizens got all of their stuff back because of Joseph's actions. Not only that, I would like to honor Detective Jason Myers, who you all know is one of our property crimes detectives here locally in the precinct. And with his work and Mr. Mickelson's work, I'm honored to provide to Mr. Mickelson the Citizens Action Award. And I'd like to thank you very much for making a difference in our community. If I could quickly, Alan, if you would switch over to the cab for me so we can introduce those. I think that was next up, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, please.
If you can switch over to the Q1 report, a PowerPoint, really quickly. I'd like to invite up Lieutenant Chad Reyes. As you know, Lieutenant Chad Reyes is my executive officer. He's a very key component to the Citizens Advisory Board that we've recently started in the Herriman precinct. And to that end, what we're going to experience in our precinct is a change in the way we do things and how we listen to the citizens. I've been told that I don't have a very good, Bethany, help me again, what was it, a translation box? And there's a funny story behind that. I was talking to some Boy Scouts that were maybe 8 or 10 years old, and she says, you just need to stop, because apparently I was using too much police lingo. And they were sitting there looking at me like, what is he saying? So Bethany, I want to thank you. You dug me out of that hole and made them understand. So we're working to work better with our community, and we think this is going to be a key piece. With that, there you go, right there, Alan. Or
Yep.
Nope.
Nope.
PowerPoint. 411. There you go. Thank you. And then Q1 in the middle. Thank you. Jumping around here just a little bit based on some time. If you'll go forward for me 2 slides, the first one will be Mr. Mickelson's. It's my call on that? Okay. There we go. Citizens Advisory Board. I'm going to turn the time over to Lieutenant Reyes, and he will introduce his Citizens Advisory Board and give you just kind of an idea of what we're doing. Chad?
Well, Mayor and Council, thanks for having me and giving me this opportunity to describe this new program that we are trying to initiate here in Herriman. And really the purpose of the program is to become more engaged with our citizenry. The Unified Police Department has had a cab for quite a while now, but we have disseminated that out to the precinct level, and the purpose behind that is so that we have a very diverse representation of our own communities, and Herriman obviously is unique. So I'll start off by reading the CAB mission statement that they came up with, and that is to create an unprecedented alignment of service, respect, and events between citizens and law enforcement. The function of these volunteers is to be a liaison between us and the community, have an outlet for our community to contact another citizen who is in the know, so to speak, with law enforcement, and then try and bridge those divides that unfortunately exist somewhat now. As Chief mentioned, these are our CAB members, and you can see their names up there. Our chairperson is Bethany Zier. We have CAB member William Satry, CAB member...
Why don't you guys stand up and... Come on.
CAB member Christopher Joels, CAB member Paul Folks, and then CAB member Justin Anderson. Again, all of these volunteers are residents of Herriman, proud residents of Herriman. They have been volunteers for our department and for the city for many years, and we appreciate their service and their initiative to try and accomplish this mission, this very important mission. So thank you, if we can give them a round of applause.
Chief, I'd just like to interject here real quick.
Yes, please.
For those residents who may not know these individuals are some of the most committed citizens we have in our community. I know many of them personally, and they are some of the best choices that we could possibly have to help represent our citizens as they work with Unified Police Department. So if there is an issue that you want to have addressed, that is an option for you to contact, as well as coming and talking to our law enforcement officers as well.
I'm sorry, Mayor. I neglected to probably discuss the most important part of CAB, and that is how to get in touch with these people. Our Facebook page, as well as the city's Facebook page, will be coming out with an article shortly. Some of you may have noticed that we did put an article in the last Herriman City newsletter, but we will be trying to get contact information out to all of our citizens so that if they do feel like they want to reach one of the CAB members instead of a law enforcement officer to talk about a community event or some issue that they're having that they'd like to discuss, neighborhood watch programs, things like that, we'll announce their contact information here shortly. Thanks, sorry about that.
Thank you, and thank you, Mayor. If it pleases you, we'll go with the traffic next. Is that accurate? Please. Can you jump back over for me to the traffic PowerPoint? When we talked about exciting things, and we'll talk more about those, certainly the CAB is at the top of that list, that is for sure. However, in our community, we suffered a great loss that you all know about. That happened the other day with a traffic accident on Rose Crest in Mountain View Corridor. In response to that, we've taken a look at how we're conducting business as far as enforcement and what kind of accidents we have there. I've worked with engineering, try and give us a picture of what we're looking at, not only there, but citywide, and see if our enforcement actions are working, and also see where they may need to go next. Now, enforcement actions are only a little piece of that. We always know that we need engineering and education as well. When we talk about education, that happens a lot in our schools, and you know that we're very active in distracted driving out here in the campaign that we run. When we talk about engineering, we partner with our engineers. The corridor is a UDOT road, so we don't have a lot of control over that. And when we talk about the component of enforcement, enforcement's a very good thing if done properly, and we're trying to get a handle on that and make sure that we're focused in the right areas. So if you would join me as we walk through this. All right. Mountain View Corridor citations in 2015, in the all of Herriman City, we had 2,096 citations written. 16 of those were written on the Mountain View Corridor. In 2016, we had 1,765 citations in all of Herriman City. 95 of those was written on Mountain View Corridor. In 2017, I was appointed as your chief of police. And I have partnered since with the council and specifically the mayor. And we wrote 1,870 citations, 168 of those were on the Mountain View Corridor. This year, since January, 1,126 in Herriman, 184 of those in 4 months have been written on the Mountain View Corridor. This is not, there we go, thank you. When we look at our performance standard as we delved into this relatively quickly today, the mayor and I were looking through this. We have increased our enforcement action out there dramatically from years past. We will strive to continue to do that. We are concerned about what's happening at that specific intersection. Our enforcement efforts have really been concentrated to the south of where that intersection is. That intersection and to the south of there. More to the north, we've seen less incidents. If you will, the next slide for me. January 31st, 2016 to current, we've had 101 reportable accidents on Mountain View Corridor. These stats are based on accidents that are significant damage, a criminal act, or injury sustained. So when we talk about reportable injuries, one of those three components makes it a reportable injury. For instance, if you have an accident in a parking lot and we scratch the paint, probably won't reach a reportable accident unless you do a hit and run, and then of course it would involve that criminal act. We're currently waiting on greater statistics related to specific intersections. I'm working with the city engineer currently so that we can put a number to those intersections. As you're aware, we did a study a few years ago that with UDOT that gave us some of those numbers, and I think it's important that we update that. Below, you'll see that most of the intersections on Mountain View Corridor to our north are shared with other cities. However, at the Rosecrest intersection and south of that is clearly all in Herriman City. If you will, for the next, please, Gordon. Up here, you'll see what we call a heat map. So in law enforcement, what this does is it tells us what's happening and hopefully what we can predict to happen, and so we know where to be. The Rosecrest intersection has a very minimal, based on the whole, a very minimal impact on accidents. However, the accidents that do occur there are dramatic because speed's involved. The speed, I believe, in that area, Blake, is 60. Is that accurate? 55. Okay. And we have a light right in the middle of that. We do have a hill and a little bit of a turn there, so there is some concern about that. However, as you'll see throughout the city, 134 and 56 is of significant concern to us. And the area up by the high school is probably an outlier. That isn't necessarily, although we have had a fatality in that intersection, isn't necessarily because of serious injuries. Really what that is a lot of kids in a small area crashing into each other. So we take that into account. At the high school, we stick our youngest drivers with the least experience in a very small area, and that's what happens.
Bumper cars.
What's that?
Bumper cars.
Bumper cars, typically. Yeah, the school resource officer is rather busy. So this is what we've come up with as far as incidents occurring in that area. And we will put this online for you once what I want to do is get very specific where we're listing numbers of accidents at